Friends, welcome back. During last class, we have studied about applications of Pascal's law. Now, during this class, we are going to study about upthrust in liquid. This topic is also playing an important role in case of our daily life. It is also connected with our daily life. We have to understand what the upthrust of the liquid in liquid is. Basically, if you throw any object, a wooden block or any other piece of object on the surface of the earth, when you are throwing any object at the upper surface of the earth, this will be the force of action exerted by you with the help of this block on the surface of the earth. According to Newton's third law of motion, there must be a reaction, and the reaction is exerted by the water molecule back on the block which we have thrown in the liquid. That is basically reaction, and that type of the reactional force is called upthrust in liquids, upthrust in the fluid. So if a paratrooper jumps and he opens his parachute, the weight of the paratrooper along with parachute is acting in downward direction. That is basically action. So the air molecules as a result are applying another force which is opposite to the action. That reactional force is basically upthrust of the uh, air molecule. Same happens in case of liquid and same happens in, and I have given you example of a paratrooper. But the same happens in case of water, and it is most visible in case of ships, boats, and all other types of the objects which you need to float at the surface. So here it is. The fluid, the term fluid is a collective name for all liquids and gases. Hence, our atmosphere is a mixture of liquids. So you must understand what the fluids are. Fluids flow means both the liquids and gases are included in case of the fluid. What is upthrust by the air? A balloon filled with helium or a gas lighter than air will be pushed upwards by the denser air when it is released. This is because upthrust is greater than the total weight of the helium material balloon. So what's happening? What you have understood from this example? Very simple. First of all, let's see what's happening in case of paratrooper when he jumps. And suddenly when he jumps, first he moves up when he opens parachute. Why? When he opens up, what happens? He moves a little bit, his height is increased instead of going down. Why? Because at the same time, when he applies action, the air reaction acts on it, which is more than the action, so he moves upward. And then he maintains his weight, his action with the reaction of the air. When it is balanced, then it moves in the constant uniform velocity in downward direction. So this is one of the example where action of the paratrooper is equal to the reaction of the air. So what happens if the reaction of air is more? Like this example of the balloon. Balloon is lighter, the helium gas is lighter than air. What will happen because when it is lighter, its action is less than the reaction. So the reaction of the air is more, upthrust of the air is more. So that's why the balloon will move in upward direction. So here it is. If you see air, balloon, here is the direction. If the balloon weight is acting in downward direction, then the upthrust of the air is acting in upward direction. So here it is in upward direction. Upthrust is acting along these arrows. Here it is. So where the weight of the balloon is acting, weight of the balloon is acting directly downward. And where the upthrust is acting, upthrust on the balloon is acting in upward direction. So what is the result then? Result is because this gas is filled gas is helium, and this gas is lighter than air. So the action will of the helium acting on the air molecule will be the less. So that's why with the increase of the reaction of the air, that is the upthrust, it will move in upward direction. If both are the same, then it will move down, descend down with a uniform speed, uniform velocity. So that is the example of a paratrooper when it moves in downward direction. But in case when the upthrust is more, then the balloon will be moving up. But if its weight increases, then it will move down. So here it is. If you look at this one is a cork in the water. A piece of cork having density less than the water, that of the water, has to be held in water. When released, the cork will rise to the surface and float. Both object experiences upthrust, causing them to rise. This is a very simple type of example. Object with, like cork and other any object which has the lighter density as compared to the water. Whenever you compel, you force such type of the water to stay at the bottom of the water. So till the time you kept on increasing or applying the force on the cork, it will stay at the bottom. But when you release it, this cork will move away from the bottom at the upper surface. Why? Because its action is less than the reaction of the water, upthrust of the water, so it will float. It will move above. So same happens in different applications in our daily life where we see the applications of upthrust of the water. So this is one of the example for the liquids. But first we have studied about here upthrust of the fluid. In case of upthrust of the air acts, which we have discussed in case of balloon, which we have discussed in case of paratrooper, and then we have discussed the upthrust of water. Whenever you displace any type of the object which is having less density than the density of the water, so till the time you have to keep it down the surface, you have to keep on increasing the force, or you have to apply more force on the object like cork to keep it at the bottom of the water. So if you release the force, this will come back directly to the upper side. It will float at the surface above the water. Why? Because the reaction of the upthrust of the water is more due to the less weight of the object floating on the surface. Due to the less density of the object, it as compared to the water, it will float at the surface. So when this was the applications of upthrust of applications, concept, and understanding of upthrust of the fluids. So with this, our class ends. I thank you very much for your patience. Hope you people have enjoyed and